Hey everyone, this is part 4 and the last part actually of a series of videos going over every single aspect of FNAF, the official parts of course. All the games, spin-offs, books, and even just side books. Everything. This is the last part and I hope everyone enjoys. Also, if you haven't seen any of the previous parts, I highly suggest you go and watch them now. Maybe leave a like, comment, possibly even subscribe. With that said, on to the last part.
Gregory, do you see the small vent on the floor? Have you ever heard of Among Us, Gregory? You need to vent. I know it will be hard enough for you to be sus, but I know you can do it, Gregory.
This was FNAF's big next step. FNAF 1 was the beginning, 2 was an expansion on lore and the amount of animatronics, 3 was an expansion on world building, and a finale. 4 was the first time FNAF was more open rather than confined to a singular point of view. World was the first spin-off. The books were a general expansion to FNAF. Sister Location was another bigger expansion on world building and movement. Pizza Sim was a definitive finale with simple expansions. UCN was a bigger expansion on animatronics. Fazbear Frights was fun, convoluted world building. VR was a continuation of the story with a new twist. AR was bad. So Security Breach, despite its constant delays, was set to release on December 16th, 2021, and would, hopefully, feature a new Afton copycat named Vanny, the glitch trap virus, and so much more. And with the delays, the game would come out near perfect with minimal glitches. Steelwool knew how to make games and had accumulated many new developers. Security Breach was going to be amazing. But then it was released. My relationship with this game is odd. I hate the fact that I hate this game. This game was incredible from a speedrunning and much less casual gameplay perspective, which is more so where I fall into. I enjoy learning how to break games and how mechanics work. But from a much more casual perspective, this game is abysmal. So many glitches. Many were found within most normal playthroughs, whether it's glitching out of bounds, missing textures, or just game-breaking bugs that left parts of the game nearly impossible. Countless casual playthroughs partly ruined by these glitches.
Nearly everyone was mad at Steelwool for the state of the game, and that's all without mentioning the story.
So, the story goes as follows. There's a Pizzaplex, a Freddy's themed mall that hosts countless venues and 4 main animatronic with a few lesser animatronics throughout. Glamrock Freddy, Glamrock Chica, Roxanne Wolf, and Montgomery Gator serve as the main attractions. The daycare attendant, also known as Sun and Moon, Staff Bots, DJ Music Man, Wind-Up Music Man, Glamrock Bonnie, Wet Floor Bot, and Glamrock Mr. Hippo as lesser animatronics. One day, Glamrock Freddy malfunctions during a performance and a small child crawls into the stomach hatch made for delivering gifts and hides. The child's name is Gregory, who is hiding away from a security officer, Vanessa, and a bunny woman. He quickly befriends Freddy, who promises to get Gregory out of the Pizzaplex. The doors lock, and Gregory is forced to spend 5 nights at Freddy's.
It's actually only one night.
Gregory then goes around Freddy's on a hyper-extended fetch quest where he looks for a thing, finds he needs another thing, goes to get that thing, and then finds he needs another thing, or gets, kidnapped or something, or dies halfway through, and then they have to restart their entire progress from, I don't know, maybe hours before, because, the game doesn't have autosaves for some reason, which I think is really absurd. After committing genocide to a few angry animatronics and reattaching their parts onto Gregory's new best friend, who is friends with these angry animatronics, Gregory has the option to end his journey in a few different ways. Security Breach has 6 separate endings. Here we go. 1. The alleyway occurs when the player character Gregory chooses to leave the Pizzaplex at the earliest point possible. A short comic-style cutscene shows Gregory hiding in an alleyway homeless as Vanny approaches. 2. The rooftop occurs when the player collects almost every collectible in the game. Freddy then sets fire to the Pizzaplex, saves Gregory from a bunny woman who is revealed to be
Vanessa? The security guard and the only other human in the game? Who would have guessed?
But then Vanessa looks out from the top of the burning pizzaplex.
This is weird.
3. The gateway occurs when the player collects all of Chica's or Monty's Death Salvage quest gameplay segments and heads to the loading docks. Rather than using them, the player leaves and it shows a cutscene where Gregory drives away with Freddy. Then Freddy dies due to a lack of power, but Gregory powers him back on with a car battery.
No! Now where did they put that car battery?
4. Disassemble Vanny occurs when the player goes to Phaser Blast and finds Vanny's room. The player then goes back to the front of the Pizzaplex and has the option to pursue Vanny. The player then returns back to Phaser Blast where Vanny calls staff bots to disassemble Freddy. Gregory escapes to the catwalks above where Freddy instructs him to go to the control room and make the staff bots turn on Vanny and disassemble her. This of course kills Vanny and Freddy kind of just dies.
Wait, before you bash my head in with that car battery to revive my dead body, please, go kill someone.
Okay.
5. Princess Quest occurs when the player finds all 3 of the Princess Quest arcade cabinets and completes them. The player will then free Vanny from her glitch trap curse, leaving behind her Vanny mask, revealing her to be
Vanessa? The security guard and the only other human in the game? Who would have guessed?
Gregory, Vanessa, and Freddy's head all escape to the Pizzaplex and sit on a hill. And then finally, 6. Burn Trap has the player kill and salvage Chica, Monty, and Roxy, then make their way all the way down a hole in Roxy Raceway, which leads back to the ruined Pizza Sim location. Further down, the player will find the Blob, an angry amalgam of remnant souls, nothing, I have no clue. Something. Big angry wire mess of animatronics, maybe or maybe not possessed. Regardless, Freddy then says something vague about, him not being him, and theorists will overanalyze it, and the player is led to a room where, on a camera, a charging station opens up, revealing a revived William Afton, back from the dead. Again.
Excuse me.
After burning Afton for the 18th billionth time, he tries to chase after Freddy and Gregory, but gets yoinked by the Blob. Gregory and Freddy escape to a hill and security breaches only animated cutscene. There's also a few audio tapes that can be found where counselors interview both Vanessa, who lies about her past, and a young child named Patient 46. Counselors eventually go missing. Remember that's going to be important. I'm going to be honest, I read all this and I barely understood any of what I just said. This game feels like a fever dream.
And that's security breach.
Freddy, you're supposed to be on lockdown.
Vanessa, have you heard about the hit game Among Us?
Where's Bonnie? Did he die? What does the code mean in the sister location room that I didn't mention until now? Why is Afton back? How is Vanny both is and isn't Vanessa? Why does Vanny only appear for 20 seconds in the entire game? Why does Gregory's vision glitch when Vanny is around? Why can't Freddy see her? Why didn't Freddy get aggressive when the rest of the animatronics did? Why is the Pizza Sim location here? Why did Freddy mean when he said that Gregory is broken? What was the sticky note room? Why does Princess Quest free Vanny? Why isn't Vanny freed when Afton is yoinked? How did Freddy and Gregory get out after Afton gets yoinked? Do any of these questions matter? Where's Foxy? Why do so many people have a Roxy King? Why is it called security breach when security is barely being breached? Where are all those cutscenes from those trailers? Why the comic book endings? Which ending is canon? Is the game a joke? Why does Gregory look like the crying child? What is the Blob? What did Gregory mean with his vague message towards the end of the game with the Burn Trap ending where he said he's not him, and that he found himself there in the Pizza Sim location? Why does this game suck?
While I continue to ask questions, I think it's about time we talk about the new books. Yes, there's more. I am so excited. Yay!
Freddy, you're supposed to be on lockdown.
Officer Vanessa, I missed the part where that's my problem.
So, what brings you in today?
It's happening again. The stories, the books, the British voices.
Tales from the Pizzaplex was meant to further expand on the story of FNAF's security breach, especially the parts that were left unanswered, with the first book, Lally's Game, releasing on July 19th, 2022, 7 months after Security Breach's original release date. First, Frailty, a hospital janitor named Jessica is helping people with a magical pendant that nurses him back to her old self. Jessica, however, becomes conflicted with people that she's helping and gets humiliated at prom. She then opts to save the pendant for herself rather than using it on a new patient named April. She then has a dream where the pendant is stolen from her. She returns to work and starts turning into a pile of metal and trash. Jessica dies and the new patient, April, begins to recover.
So it's just a copy of To Be Beautiful from the first Fazbear Frights? Yeah.
2. Lally's game is, I'm just summarizing this because the thing is way too long. Couple Selena and Cade move into a ranch. While there, I think Cade finds, like, in his attic, like, a little, like, toy doll named Lally that he had from whenever he was a kid and went to the Pizzaplex way back when. And you know, he played hide and seek with it, and it had a game called Lally's Game, which was just hide and seek basically, but only 2 people. And so he brings it up to Selena, and she's like, lol, no, lies. And, you know, she dismisses Cade's like warnings about it because his friend died while playing Lally's Game. And she just, like, kind of chalks it up to childhood trauma. But then she ends up dying, and then Cade is left with Lally and is forced to play Lally's Game, which Lally states is only for 2. Dun dun dun.
What? Probably just introduced the Pizzaplex as part of the books. Yeah, but why Lally and why in Security Breach? This isn't supposed to make sense, that's why I'm here. Who the f*** is this guy?
3. Under Construction features Maya Jackson and Noelle, who visit Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex for Maya's 16th birthday. They engage in a heated debate about quantum immortality and the many worlds theory, which basically states that there are infinite possibilities of, like, the multiverse, and all of them stem from singular choices. So, like, whether or not you chose to wake up at 8:14 this morning or 8:15, those are 2 different paths, and so on and so forth. And each and every single person, there's different multiverses because of them and everyone's decisions. Anyway, Maya's disappointed when the AR unit, The World Celebrates You, is closed, but she sneaks in and experiences their perfect birthday celebration. Over time, though, Maya's reality becomes increasingly grim, marked by cancer outbreaks and the birth of faceless, rapidly growing and aging jelly-like creatures.
Fazgoo.
Maya tries to help her family and friends, but realizes that she may have entered a false reality in the AR unit. As the chaos ensues, Maya is left trapped and conscious, unable to die in the nightmare AR world.
Please don't tell me FNAF has a multiverse now. Well, the books do take place in a different timeline of the games, and some of them also have different dates from other previous stories, so there's a possibility that multiple timelines exist of FNAF, each with their own different stories. So, kinda?
Freddy, you're supposed to be on lockdown.
Vanessa.
Released September 20th, 2022. 1. Help Wanted has Steve the janitor, just, like, he wants to make video games, but he isn't able to, and he gets the offer from Fazbear Entertainment, and he, of course, denies Fazbear Entertainment, but after a short amount of time, he then falls asleep and wakes up, and suddenly has a wife, kids, and a bunch of other things that he's always wanted, and now he has to make games for Fazbear Entertainment. He makes 3 games in total, kind of making fun of Fazbear's past, and then before he can make the 4th game, or finish the 4th game, sorry, he then wakes up from his false reality, and yeah.
Scott made a self-insert. Yeah, I got that.
2. Helps is just these 2 kids, Aiden and Jace, and they start, like, you know, scaring kids in a mirror maze, and then eventually this like robot thing comes out and grabs them and says like, oh, you're lost, but then they escape from it and like partially destroy it and then find their way into an abandoned area, and Halps reappears damaged and chases them throughout the maze. They escape on this like ladder thing, and then Halps like continues to pursue them, and Jace sacrifices himself, and Aiden is like, what? No. Halps then relentlessly pursues Jace, and Aiden escapes, and yeah.
What?
3. B7. Billy, fascinated about animatronics since childhood, adopts their behaviors, leading to isolation and psychological issues. His obsession intensifies, causing his parents to divorce. At 18, he undergoes a bunch of unnecessary surgeries, replacing body parts with prosthetics. Despite being in a relationship with someone, the extreme changes drive them apart completely. At 21, Billy awakens with the reality of his delusions, realizing he's human, and then he realizes that, the consequences of his actions and becoming a robot himself are irreversible, and he ends up in a junkyard compactor.
Please don't tell me. We're going back to robot people. While my therapist reconsiders his career path, it's time that we talk about...
One incredibly popular theory for Security Breach, made popular by, MatPat, is that Gregory, the player character, is a robot kid. This is due to the fact that Gregory looks like the crying child. Freddy also says Gregory is broken, and Gregory's vision is messed up when he sees Vanny. First, design choices are barely evident. Sure, it can be used, but if I randomly decide to wear a striped shirt and shorts, am I suddenly cosplaying as the crying child? Second, Freddy is a robot. To him, being hurt is like being broken, so he uses it to relate to how Gregory feels. Third, Gregory's vision being messed up is purely choice by developers. I mean, seriously, would you prefer the glitching effect? Or nothing at all to tell you when Vanny's nearby? Like, seriously.
And then there's the theory that Vanessa and Vanny are robots. They're not.
This theory was made popular by John from FNAF, not FNAF, FNAF, the channel. He argues that Vanny/Vanessa are robots, possibly Elizabeth, aka Baby from Sister Location, due to the fact that Vanny serves Afton so easily, her appearance, again, and that there's 2 in 1 ending, alongside the VR sisters from Fury's Rage. No. Bringing back Baby would be absurd, but I'll give it benefit of the doubt. Vanny serves because she is being controlled by Afton through Glitch Trap. Appearance could be coincidence. Vanessa's soul was trapped in the Pizzaplex with Pizza Quest, and Fury's Rage was a joke game, so any evidence of it should be, kind of discarded as joke. And then there's the theory that Michael is back in Freddy, or that the puppet is Freddy, or that Henry is Freddy, or that...
No. I have a lot of respect for the theorist community behind FNAF, but some of these theories, man, come on.
People keep trying to make up a bunch of things to answer an unanswerable game. It is obvious that Steelwool did not think out the story of this game. Robot people could be possible, but bringing back every spirit from the past games for just mediocre fan service is just... It's too much, especially if Scott had any part in making Security Breach. He would know that the fans don't want that.
Anyway, back to the books.
Please tell me there's epilogues.
Yes, but it's at the end.
Yeah!
When you start me right, I hope it's painful for me. I hope your condom expires. Hope you not deep in my, hope you impregnate my body.
December 6, 2022. 1. Somnophobia features a couple purchasing a mysterious dream sphere at a yard sale. And then flashback, there's this kid named Sam, who starts using the dream sphere to escape reality. At first, it enhances his life, but as the obsession grows, he begins isolating himself from friends and reality, trying to relive memories. Eventually, he succumbs to the dream sphere, losing touch with reality and meeting a tragic end, symbolized by Moon, the daycare attendant, leading him to an illusionary afterlife.
What? I don't know.
2. Pressure is about Luca alongside her friends Asher, Nolan, and Maddie. Role-playing in Freddy Fazbear's meets Mega Pizzaplex Urban Legend Role-Players Atorium what did I just read? VR, AR game, something, I don't know. Anyway, they go to the green-eared killer scenario. Luca is haunted by childhood trauma related to a real-life murder of a friend, Kenny. Despite his reluctance, Luca is pressured into the role. As the game unfolds, Luca experiences excruciating pain and realizes that he's in a malfunctioning spring-lock suit. The others believe Luca's distress is part of the act. Ultimately abandoned by his friends, Luca encounters Earl, an employee who seems to be linked with the eerie events. Luca, driven by desperation, confronts Earl, takes revenge, and accepts his impending fate as the spring-locks finally engage and kill him. What did I just read?
Fazbear making fun of their past, but then something goes wrong. Oh no. Yeah.
3.
Cleithrophobia.
Kim and her friends visit Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex, discovering an unmarked venue on the map, Belora's Fitness and Flex. In a flashback, Grady, an attraction tester, tests the attraction months earlier, confronting his fear of confined spaces stemming from childhood trauma. Bellora, an animatronic, assess players through narrow tubes. Grady's anxiety intensifies as he progresses, but he perseveres, enduring physical harm. Bellora, glitching and unable to detect him, turns aggressive, causing severe injuries. Co-workers, Rowan and Tate, find Grady, choose to prioritize their jobs over helping him, and seal off the attraction. Grady accepts his fate, grateful for Bellora's company as he succumbs to his injuries.
This is the same thing as the last one. I know, they're pointless. How many more are there left? 8.
Oh, scary! Oh, shiver my timbers! Shut up, man!
Oh, halfway there, come on. Released December 27th, 2022. Only 21 days after the last one. 1. Submecophobia. Caden, working at Freddy Fazbear's Fantasy Water Park to support his grandmother, faces a fear of underwater mechanics to fix malfunctioning animatronics. Discovering a child's shoe and a bone, he connects them to the disappearance of Jason Butterfield. Investigation reveals that the park owner, Myron Cooper, is the animatronic Frank the Diver and was involved in Jason's demise. In a confrontation, Marin, the guy who killed Jason, drowns and the animatronics help to assist. Kane reports the evidence to police, admitting the animatronic's involvement. The park closes and someone buys it for a positive reopening. Kane is hailed as a hero.
Parallel to William Afton and loosely Michael Afton.
2. Animatronic Apocalypse. Robbie becomes suspicious of the new Fazbear fan club president, Zambrina, who enforces strange rules. Mr. Renner introduces a scam leading to bizarre behaviors in club members. Robbie discovers that they are burying themselves under Mr. Renner's instructions. Escaping to the police, Robbie dismisses it as a prank. Robbie confronts Mr. Renner violently, but later Mr. Renner's body goes missing. Despite this, Robbie returns to school with Zambrina gone and the Fazbear fan club regains normalcy.
Glitch Trap? Sorta?
3. Bobby Dots was split into 2 parts throughout 2 different books. Surprisingly, this is only one of 2 that actually did this. But due to Bobby Dots 1 and 2 being so close by release dates, I'll just combine them both here. Abe, a homeless Pizzaplex employee, tries to live at the Faz Tower, where there's a bunch of really nice apartments. After faking a job resume and lying a bunch, he has these assistants called Bobby Dots that are there in the tower, which are just AIs, think Google. And then they slowly start to turn a little bit evil, and so he starts investigating them and finds that the ones that he has are Gen 2s, but the ones that are in the building hidden away are Gen 1s. He then uses the Gen 1's help destroy the Gen 2s because the Gen 2s are bad and the Gen 1s are good. And then he rebuilds the Gen 1s, and those are now the new Bobby Dots, and they're good. So, I don't know.
Glitch trap infecting things and make them evil.
This one is gonna get lore heavy, so get ready.
Why is the voiceover British? The voices. Also, I got sick and didn't feel like recording the voiceover that day. Why not just record it later? I didn't feel like it.
Released March 7th, 2023. 1 GGY is about Tony, an aspiring investigative reporter getting intrigued by high scores under the initials GGY at Pizzaplex Games. While investigating the mystery with his friends, Gregory, going by the codename DR, Rabbit and Ellis, he discovers GGY is hacking play passes into security badges. Tony meets a hacker named Morrigan99, who turns out to be Crystal, a friend of Tony. She warns him about GGY's dangerous intentions and advises him to stop. Tony heeds the warning but later connects GGY to missing counselors. Suspecting foul play, he investigates school records. After rewriting his Pizzaplex story, Tony faces detention for breaking in. His friends, Ellis and Greg, reveal their real names and invite him back to Pizzaplex. But Tony is hesitant after discovering disturbing secrets.
Patient 46 from earlier.
There's also a few audio tapes that can be found where counselors interview both Vanessa, who lies about her past, and a young child named Patient 46. Counselors eventually go missing. Remember that's going to be important.
So Gregory's evil and he's possessed by Glitch Trap, which is why he's hacking into the Pizzaplex and doing evil things and calling himself Dr. Rabbit, right? Also why he doesn't have any memories when Security Breach starts, because he was just freed from Glitch Trap's control. How'd he get freed though? I mean, Vanny's, soul or whatever was attached to Princess Quest, and Princess Quest needed to be beaten in order to free Vanny. So how did Gregory get freed? What is his soul attached to? Balloon World, a small arcade cabinet found hidden away in the daycare attendant's room. That's why it's hidden away, just like Princess Quest was. So what, he just played his way out? That, or he hacked into the systems, found the game, and then played it while Glitch Trap was in control, and then accidentally just freed himself.
2. The Storyteller. Fazbear Entertainment executives decide to downsize and implement the Storyteller, an AI meant to make the animatronics more lifelike by giving them stories and automatic personalities in Pizzaplex. Edwin, an executive,
Who will be important later,
uncovers the Storyteller's use of a tiger animatronic head,
which will be important later.
tied to traumatic memories. Animatronics malfunction, and Edwin investigates, finding a disturbing program named Mimic 1. While trying to fix it, Mr. Burrows traps Edwin inside the Storyteller tree, intending for him to suffocate. Edwin survives, leaves a cryptic message, and Burrows fails to escape, ending the story unconscious within the Storyteller.
Glitch Trap, Glitch Trap.
Through his pants I see his balls. Hard on, keep my dick and balls inside. Wish I had a wet wipe. There's a gay side to us all. Hard on.
May 2nd, 2023. 1. Nexie, Astrid, unable to afford a buddy-matronic thing, convinces her grandpa to contribute towards buying her one for her birthday. During the creation process, a power surge and glitch results in Astrid's imperfect buddytronic named Nexie. Astrid repairs Nexie and the doll becomes fixated on achieving a perfect appearance. Despite Nexie's unsettling actions, Astrid rejects her suggestion to break into the Pizzaplex for an endoskeleton. Grandpa surprises Astrid with a new ideal buddytronic, Lexi, but Nexie violently rejects her counterpart. To appease Nexie, Astrid steals an endoskeleton and grafts Nexie's features onto herself, horrifying her peers. Astrid embraces the transformation, finding solace in her perfect companion.
Isn't that just the plot of Megan by Blumhouse? Yes.
2. Drowning. Car and her friends visit Pizzaplex VR attraction. During a solo lesson, Kara grapples with past trauma, encountering a mysterious, degrading girl within the virtual water park. Despite various attempts to escape, the girl persistently seeks Kara's companionship, revealing a traumatic and tragic backstory. Kara explores the eerie environment, battles nightmares, and uncovers a drowned girl's tragic history in the virtual house. In a climactic moment, Kara climbs a slide, but a chilling transformation in the girl's voice leads to Kara's fatal fall. Meanwhile, Lola and Francine searching for Kara and discover her lifeless body upon deactivating the VR attraction.
That's just VR Nightmare on Elm Street. Yup.
3. The Mimic is about Edwin, who I told you was important before, and the Mimic virus. Basically, right, Edwin, 40 years ago, before the Storyteller, Edwin was working under Fazbear Entertainment and made, smaller animatronics and stuff like that. And he wanted to make an animatronic that would take care of his kid because he didn't have time to take care of his kid and would be a friend to his kid. So he made the Mimic. The Mimic just kind of kept an eye on Edwin's son and started copying Edwin because, Edwin needed a friend, or Edwin's son, and because Edwin's son needed a friend. And so the Mimic, after copying Edwin's son, starts to make friends with him, but then Edwin's son gets, into a car accident and dies, and gets run over or something like that. So then the Mimic continues to act like Edwin's son, and Edwin is grief-stricken, and so he beats up the Mimic because, he's angry, And now, fast forward to modern day, there's people going into Edwin's factory, where the Mimic is still there, and the Mimic, because it learned Edwin's violent actions of, violence, begins to kill the people who got into Edwin's factory.
Parallel for Henry, who loses a child and then makes a copy of the child so that way he has something to linger on to. Yes, but Henry makes the puppet in the games. He makes the puppet which doesn't mimic Charlie, instead Charlie possesses it. So then it's William. No, because William has multiple children, 2 of which died to animatronics, the grandchild and Elizabeth. And Michael just kind of, regardless, none of them died to a car accident. And the closest William ever gets to making a robot that can mimic another person is the Fun Times, and even then, Baby was possessed by Elizabeth and Ballora was just there. So it's not a parallel? Exactly.
I haven't been able to find any more on Google, though my resources are a bit limited.
Professor? Where the hell are you?
Ooh, doing a stretch of 5 to 10. Apparently the authorities frown on selling meth to college students.
Yeah, apparently.
You need to hang up that computer call. Come over here and kiss me on my hot mouth. I'm feeling romantical.
July 18th, 2023. 1. Tiger Rock is just, I told you who would be important later. He's the mask from Storyteller. Basically, a couple of teenagers wander into the Pizzaplex, find the Storyteller tree, and then there's a new animatronic called Tiger Rock, which is the remains of the Storyteller and a bunch of different animatronics, and the Mimic 1 virus, and it starts chasing them around, killing them, and hallucinations, and evil, bad, and everyone dies. So, yeah.
The Mimic is Tiger Rock. The what is who?
2. The Monty Within. Kane begins his day with various responsibilities, but is intrigued by a new arcade game at the Pizzaplex. The game involves syncing minds with animatronics for a food fight. Kane's experience with the game raises concerns as Montgomery Gator's behavior stats influence him in real life. Kane discovers a flickering yellow light in the game, which he believes connects players and animatronics. Attempting to investigate further, Kane returns to the Pizzaplex and shuts down the game. However, he finds himself increasingly influenced by Montgomery Gator's thoughts, leading him to erratic behavior and strained relationships. The situation escalates when Monty controls Kane during a basketball game and a food fight at school. Tired of Kane's constant rebelling, Monty plops Kane into a table saw and turns it on. Kane is helpless as the blades cut through his body.
What? Weren't these books made for kids? Yes. And yet here we are.
3, Bleeding Heart. Danny has a crush on Daisy and resorts to using nanobots to create tattoos to impress her. The nanobots, intended to be used only for temporary tattoos, inadvertently etch permanent designs into Danny's skin. Despite the painful process, Danny continues to get tattoos to win Daisy's affection. However, as the relationship progresses, Danny realizes that Daisy is dismissive and manipulative. In a desperate attempt to please her, Danny commands the nanobots to cover his entire body with tattoos, resulting in a gruesome outcome. Daisy discovers a disturbing scene, finding Danny's heart as the final tattoo.
Afton? Kinda?
Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Released October 3rd, 2023, and is currently the most recent book as of writing and recording. B7-2 is a sequel to B7 from Tales 2, Halps. 1, B7-2. Billy wakes up in the hospital surviving the events of B7, where he nearly got, trash compacted and died after turning himself into a robot because of obsession. Anyway, he gets the animatronic parts of himself removed and becomes normal and starts living a normal life. However, part of his soul and remnant and agony is still part of that, the endoskeleton parts of him that he had taken out, that he had in him previously. And so the animatronic robot parts begin to chase him around, and yeah. Anyway, his grandma dies and sacrifices herself to keep B7, the robot that wants to kill and rejoin with Billy. She sacrifices herself, and then Billy is able to escape to, it says Peru, but I don't know how accurate that is.
What? I don't know, wait for part 3.
Alone Together is about a 7th grader named Travis who begins haunted by memories and dreams related to a woodshop project involving a mechanical Turk. Google what that is, because I don't know what that is. Determined to end the haunting, he suspects a ghost tied to a Turk stored at the school. Despite facing isolation and emotional turmoil, Travis discovers the Turk and enters it, only to find his own dead body. He realizes that he was the ghost all along, haunted by the Turk he built to impress his parents. With this revelation, Travis achieves peace, no longer feeling alone. There's also a portion where Travis's grandma explains to him how hauntings work, and that ghosts may need to, find something they need in order to move on. Ooh.
So, just explaining how hauntings work for, the 3rd time with the plot of Sixth Sense? Yeah.
3, Didophobia is just, this kid stuck with a bunch of nightmarish animatronics that are created by a gas, and he, tries to escape and uncovers the truth of Circus Babies Entertainment and Rental, where he tries to, contact someone for help and escape. But then he, there's a tape that plays and tells him, dude, go back to the nightmares. Do it, but you won't, do it. And so he goes back and the cycle continues.
That's just FNAF 4 with gas.
Dude, you just realized?
You're not Gregory. What are you?
Before we get into the epilogues, I'll also be giving a brief summary on the stories relevant to the Mimic. Those being The Storyteller, The Mimic, and Tiger Rock. In The Mimic, some guy named Edwin makes a robot to copy and befriend his kid. The kid dies and Edwin beats up the Mimic robot. Years later, the robot kills people, copying Edwin's beating. The Mimic program then gets copied to the Pizzaplex through an AI building called the Storyteller, but causes the animatronics to hurt people just like how Edwin beat up the Mimic. Edwin then goes inside the Storyteller to fix the Mimic program, but finds a white tiger mask. Edwin's boss sees this and kills Edwin, only to be locked inside the Storyteller himself and die. Even later, the Pizzaplex closes and some teenagers go inside the ruins of the Pizzaplex and get chased by the Mimic program, now within the White Tiger animatronic.
Now?
Yeah!
In the epilogue number 1, Gil, a construction worker, unknowingly activates a deadly endoskeleton in an old pizzeria, resulting in a gruesome attack on him and his crew. In epilogue number 2, a group of high school students explores the construction site of Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex, only to discover horrifying scenes of violence and danger, with animatronics attacking and killing members of their group. Epilogue number 3 follows the surviving group as they navigate the dark and dangerous pizzeria, discovering the terrifying capabilities of the animatronics and facing the threat of a relentless mimic. Epilogue number 4 continues the group's struggle for survival, dealing with the aftermath of a vicious attack and attempting to find a way to escape the nightmarish environment. Epilogue number 5 reveals more about the mimic and the group's attempts to communicate with the outside world, showcasing the horror and desperation of their situation. Epilogue number 6 explores the sacrifices made by one of the group members, Jace, as they devise a plan to confront the mimic and secure their chances of escape. In epilogue number 7, Lucia and Kelly face the relentless mimic, utilizing costumes to try and outsmart the animatronic threat. However, tragedy strikes, and Kelly becomes a victim of the mimic's deadly capabilities. Epilogue number 8 concludes the story with Lucia's daring plan to trap the mimic in a spring-lock suit. The intense struggle between Lucia and the mimic unfolds, ultimately leading to Lucia's victory and her escape from the nightmarish pizzeria. The story revolves around the horror and danger unleashed by animatronics, particularly the mimic, in the context of Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex construction site. The characters face gruesome challenges and make sacrifices in their attempts to survive and escape the deadly animatronic threat. Honestly, these books were a lot better than Fazbear Frights. The stories were pretty interesting too. Definitely an improvement from Springtrap Imp Reg.
And that's Tales from the Pizzaplex. So, is the mimic important? Yes, but...
After the rocky release of Security Breach, Steelwool was planning on fixing the game itself, but opted out to fix the base game. Rather, a small, free DLC would be released for anyone to play. It would help with fan reception of Security Breach and overall keep fans interested in the next title. The DLC would take place in the ruins of the Pizzaplex and would occur after one of the endings. Fans were, for the most part, hyped. Steelwool would be learning from their mistakes and would make something new, something better. And well, most people agree.
I'll get to why I say most in a bit.
Released July 25th, 2023. You now play as Cassie, a friend of Gregory's who is lured by Gregory's voice and now must find him in the Pizzaplex. After going through the ruins of the Pizzaplex, getting an AR Van Eye mask, which allows Cassie to see the world through a whole new way using AR, and a Faz wrench that her father had, fixing Sun and Moon deactivating nodes to actually breach security.
That's the name of the game!
Yeah! And a few other things, like killing Roxy. Cassie is finally led under the Pizzaplex, using an alternative routes that we hadn't seen in base Security Breach. She eventually gets to a room and is instructed to power off a security AI to set Gregory free. She does this, but what was trapped there was not Gregory. It was the mimic. Cassie runs off, and depending on what you've done in the game, gets one of 3 endings.
There's more?
1, the elevator. You basically do everything normally, and then you get to the elevator at the end of the mimic chase, and then Gregory says something about like, "Oh, Cassie, I finally was able to reach you. Oh, you'll be safe now." And then the mimic comes on and like deactivates the elevator and kills Cassie. Maybe, probably. 2, Brazil basically just has Cassie choose an alternative route and not listen to Gregory's directions telling her to run towards the elevator, but instead run to a side route where she finds a Fredbear's Family Diner cutout. She then puts on the Van Eye mask and then sees an AR world where everyone is safe, and then probably dies. 3, the Scooper occurs if Cassie manages to find and deactivate all the wet floor bots, find Bonnie, deactivate him, and then free the Mimic. The Mimic then chases Cassie in costume, and Cassie is now able to take a 3rd alternative route and traps the Mimic inside the sister location scooper room. The Mimic is then scooped, and Cassie is just kind of there.
And that's ruined.
I don't like Ruin. Sure, it was better than Security Breach and restored my faith in Steel Wool, but I just didn't like how linear the game was. Alongside the fact that in order to understand the Mimic, you need to read the books, which I think is just a little, like, they're meant to expand, not to be part. Like, the books are meant to expand, they're not to be, like, a definitive part of the, series. Introduced in the Van Eye mask out of nowhere, no continuation on Burn Trap and the Blob, convoluted answers to what we were asking during Security Breach, whether or not Burn Trap even happened, and, in my opinion, worst of all, was the Mimic's introduction. It throws a whole new issue into if Glitch Trap is the Mimic, or the Mimic virus, or vice versa, or whatever, or if Burn Trap is the Mimic, or if vice versa, or if Glitch Trap even matters, if Glitch Trap matters, if the Mimic matters, if the Mimic is the same Mimic as the books, then if it is, now everyone needs to stay updated with the lore and needs to drop over $100 on the books just to figure things out. And then that's all to bring up the fact that, like, we don't know if the Mimic is Glitch Trap, if Glitch Trap is Burn Trap now, if Burn Trap even matters, if Glitch Trap even matters, if the Mimic is Glitch Trap, if Glitch Trap is the Mimic, if Burn Trap is the Mimic, I think I repeated myself. Regardless, people now, if they want to stay updated with what the Mimic is, if the Mimic ends up being important later down the line, they now need to drop over $100 on books to read them, or watch a theorist explain what's right. If Ruin was supposed to fix Security Breach, it did it in probably the worst way possible in my opinion. Steel Wool made the DLC very convoluted without many answers. Now we just have more questions, like why is the sister location scooper there, and why does it look like that?
I just didn't really like the DLC. I am happy that Steel Wool actually figured out how to fix parts of Security Breach that were broken in the initial game, and regain trust with the community, but it just didn't really do it for me.
That's nice. So, when you walked in you said something about British voices.
It's happening again. The stories, the books, the British voices.
Wanna talk about that?
No, they got to you too. Stay away from me! Well, I'm back at the desk. Got some medication. Apparently I have something called Britophrenia. It's like schizophrenia, but I keep hearing British voices. Anyway, on to...
The Five Nights at Freddy's movie, something that every fan of the series was waiting for ever since it was first rumored to be happening all the way back in April 2015. But after a very heavy and rough development with Scott Cawthon and his issues with how Warner Bros. Wanted to release the film, Scott then shifted to Blumhouse, the makers behind movies like The Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity, as well as The Purge, for further production, while Warner Bros. Repurposed the script in 2019's The Banana Splits movie, a twisted readaptation of the kid-friendly NBC Saturday morning series called The Banana Splits. The Banana Splits movie was, in my opinion, decent for what FNAF was when the script was originally finished prior to Scott leaving. It had all the basic FNAF elements, but the gore and killings were very over the top considering that it was supposed to be FNAF. Then 2021 brought Willy's Wonderland, featuring Nicolas Cage. This movie was definitely a movie. Wasn't bad, wasn't good, it had its charm in some parts, but it was obvious that it was just taking advantage of FNAF fans' growing impatience and worry for an official FNAF film. But then, after several Reddit posts from Scott regarding the state of the film, scripting, and production, on October 2022, the movie was announced for sure on Blumhouse's CEO, Jason Blum's Twitter.
This was a huge moment for FNAF fans. After the discourse of Security Breach and many fans leaving, a lot of them ended up returning for the announcement of the film. However, we'd still have to wait another year or so before we get any more information on the movie. But regardless, we knew it was coming.
After countless leaks for story, casting, animatronics, sets, locations, and more, the first trailer was released on May 16th, 2023, and fans were ecstatic.
Peter Malark was Mike Schmidt.
The theories for the movie were wild, and all of it was so entertaining to watch. It was actually when I came back to the FNAF fanbase after leaving when FNAF AR was announced, mostly due to disinterest. And finally, after years of waiting, 2 other rip-off movies and countless development changes, on October 27th, 2023, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was finally released.
I challenge you, Markiplier and Jacksepticeye, to face me in the pole dancing Thunderdome.
This game was another joke game that Scott made to, make the film, get more hype for the film and to give fans a little bit something to, do on. By being the game, you get a link to an unlisted videos on Universal's YouTube page that showed a bunch of scenes from the film in a sort of FNAF-y way with a bunch of TVs that would glitch and show you parts of the film, some of which never actually ended up showing on the film itself. But who cares? Movie time!
Just watch the FNAF movie. Gotta say, feels a lot like a fan film, which makes sense coming from Blumhouse. The ending and story isn't the best, kinda let me down to be honest, but it really just feels like a love letter to fans. But I feel that it isn't a good movie for casuals who don't know a lot about the series. It took a lot, surprisingly, from the Silver Eyes FNAF book. It was still great to watch, and I never once felt bored. However, I do think more could have been done. It feels kind of rushed plot-wise. Could have been better with a longer runtime. 8 out of 10. I posted that to YouTube. While this was partly how I felt, my more genuine opinion of the movie began to wane as I thought more about the film. So much of it was too kid-like. It felt more like a PG film from the 2000s rather than a horror film. I began telling people about this and many of them did agree, but we also all agreed that our first watch was partly blinded due to excitement and nostalgia of a lot of FNAF elements. So we agreed we'd all watch it again.
This movie is not a horror film. It feels more like a student film. But that's okay. It does feel like the point of the movie is to be a sort of love letter to fans of the series. However, no matter how I chose to view the film, it always felt like something was missing. Some aspect of it was missing. I still felt a little let down. So, I rewatched it. Again.
And again. By this point, I was tired, just like how I am of the script. Something felt so off. Yeah, it was FNAF, but it wasn't the FNAF I knew when I was a kid. It wasn't the FNAF that I knew. And then it hit me.
This isn't my FNAF. As much as I want to see the FNAF movie as the FNAF I grew up with, ultimately, it's not. It's not the same FNAF that MatPat made a theory about it, talking about how it's a parallel to a real-life killing at a Chuck E. Cheese. That it isn't that FNAF, it's new FNAF, which I think is something that the fanbase really needs to understand with the newer games, including myself. These games, Security Breach, Ruin, the movie, all of it is not the original fanbase's FNAF. Sure, we're never going to get back to the point of old FNAF, but there's still plenty of things that us as a community can look forward to, like new fan games that don't get cancelled, or fan games that don't have a few issues behind the creators. Regardless, I see this movie less as like a here, old fans, here's something for you to look at and, you know, have fun with. It's more so a send-off, like a happy, like, thank you so much for being part of this journey to the OG FNAF fans, and a welcoming open arms to new fans of the series, ones that came in with Security Breach, Ruin, Help Wanted, FNAF AR, everything. It's a sort of turning point for the series and its fan base. And that's okay.
Side note that I just want to add here, critics absolutely tore this movie apart for what I think are two main reasons. One, the FNAF movie had very little explaining story-wise because most of the people who would be watching the film already had base level or surface level knowledge of the events in the game, so repeating it all would kind of be pointless. This type of thing is commonly echoed in reboots of other film series that skip over already known topics that most people know, like Batman's origin story, Spider-Man's origin story, etc., etc. 2. Critics were expecting more horror than what was given in the movie, which is understandable. This has led to the FNAF movie to have the lowest Rotten Tomatoes rating out of the other two FNAF ripoffs movies that came out. FNAF has a 31%, Banana Splits has a 60%, and Willy's Wonderland somehow has a 61%.
And with that, FNAF was... Are you
f***ing kidding me?
2023 was a massive year for FNAF. So many books, the movies, the Ruin DLC, and now a sequel to the VR FNAF game, Help Wanted. This game was basically the exact same as its predecessor, VR minigames now taking place mostly inside the Pizzaplex, with harder versions being discovered after deactivating the mask inhibitor from Ruin. Spoilers, by the way. Once you take off the mask, you're placed inside of a more destroyed Pizzaplex and have harder minigames to play. After collecting a few collectibles or getting a glitched coin from completing certain tasks in the minigames, the player will get one of two endings. 1, they get turned into Maskbot from Ruin and give Cassie her mask. 2, the player gets turned into the real-life princess quest and gets, trades his Van Eye mask, for the Glitch Trap plush, which then Vanny takes away and then crushes Glitch Trap. Also, side note, you play as Cassie's dad, aka Bonnie Bro, who was there in FNAF's Byte, given evidence by his favorite character being Bonnie, a findable Bonnie mask in the IRL Princess quest, and the Van Eye mask being only used by Fazbear technicians, which we are told Cassie's dad was, because of the fact that she says the Fazbear wrench looks like her dad's. The lack of Monty, who replaced Bonnie, and a character saying that the player character looks like they would have kids. I don't know, go watch My Pet, or Brightoast, or something.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier, and I am officially back. Yes! Yes! Yeah!
While I've hated parts of this series with a lot of passion, there's no denying the impact of FNAF as a whole. So, with that said, thank you, Scott Cawthon. Thank you for giving me and many others something that they could hold on to for so long, and for continuing to build the world of that series. And yeah, thank you for giving me a sort of introduction to horror, because otherwise I probably never would have gotten into a lot of horror topics. I hope you enjoy your retirement, Scott. And thank you, viewer, for getting this far into a FNAF video of a guy sitting at a desk or sitting in front of his therapist talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. Regardless, it means a lot, and I hope you enjoyed. I've been Seb, and I hope to see you in the next one.
I'm recording this after, a little bit after I've edited half of the video, because I just found out about this. 30 minutes ago, MatPat uploaded his Goodbye Internet video, which I'm sure if you're watching this video, you know about it already. It's all over YouTube. I don't know how to feel about it. It's not like MatPat's dying or anything, but it's a definite turning point in the, in game theory, and especially YouTube, with so many different creators leaving. But I know I've talked a lot about MatPat in these videos, and really you know, joked about his theories because, you know, they're just kind of absurd for the most part. But by all means, if MatPat or anyone at Team Theorist is watching this, I have a lot of respect for you guys. I watched y'all way back when people were making boob jokes all over YouTube and stuff like that. So, yeah, y'all mean a lot to me, and I'm glad Matt is moving on to more projects, because he's honestly really creative with the stuff that he's able to do, and the, you know, reach that he has in the world. So, with that said, Scott, hope you enjoy retirement, and Matt, I hope you do too. Team Theorist for life, I guess. See you, MatPat. Thank you.